Have you ever had one of those days where, I mean, the world just seems to be on your side?
Oh,
You
absolutely.
know, every traffic light is green. The ideas just, they just flow. Every conversation lands perfectly. It's that feeling of being completely in the zone.
And then, of course, there's the other side of that coin. The day that starts with spilling coffee on your shirt and it snowballs from there.
Yes. Every email feels like a struggle. Every
Yeah.
call goes to voicemail. You feel like you're walking through molasses.
Right. And we usually just write that off, don't we? We say, oh, I'm having a bad day, or I guess I'm just unlucky today.
Exactly. We file it away as luck or mood
Mm-hmm.
and just assume we're at the mercy of
Right.
whatever's happening out there. But the deep dive we're taking today, it really challenges that whole idea.
It does.
Our mission here is to show you that these swings, these good days and bad days, they aren't random at all. They're governed by something much more fundamental. We're talking about energy.
The invisible current that is, actively shaping every single event in your life, moment by moment.
So we are diving into what's called the Law of Perpetual Transmutation, or LPT.
And this framework really flips the script. It says that energy, not your time, not your effort, not even your money, is the real currency of your life. The whole premise is that once you understand how this works, you stop feeling like a pinball bouncing around.
And you start feeling like the sculptor. You're the one shaping the clay. I love that imagery.
It's a huge shift in perspective, and our guide on this journey is Prabadevi Venkatasan, whose own story makes this so much more than just, an abstract theory.
It really does. Her background is so interesting. She's an engineer, an artist, a traveler, a really multifaceted person.
Right. But her biggest insights came when she was running this high-powered consulting firm. The vibe total hustle culture, wall-to-wall meetings, overflowing inbox, the belief that more effort equals more success.
The classic grind. Push harder, work longer.
Exactly, until she hit a major wall. She lost a huge client, and her first instinct was, of course, to just double down, work even harder. But in the middle of all that frantic energy, she heard this quiet internal whisper that just said, shift your energy and the rest will follow.
And that was the light bulb moment.
It was everything. She started to notice that when she intentionally changed how she felt on the inside, how she carried herself, new opportunities just arrived. And they arrived with this sense of ease, this grace that all her previous hustling never could have produced.
So that shift from raw effort to, I guess, energetic alignment is really the foundation of this whole body of work.
It is. And it all rests on 5 core ideas that connect our inner world of thoughts and feelings to the very real results we see in our lives.
Okay, let's lay out that backbone for this deep dive. Number 1 is that thought is creative energy.
Your thoughts aren't just passing clouds. They are active blueprints that life is constantly trying to build from.
Number 2, emotion is the amplifier. This one feels huge.
It's the game changer. A small thought that you feel with intense joy or certainty will manifest way faster than some grand vision that's laced with doubt. Emotion is what gives the blueprint its power.
Number 3, attention is the steering wheel. Simple but powerful. Where your focus goes, your energy flows.
And that's where results grow. It's about consciously directing that creator force.
Then number 4, and this is a bit of a tough pill to swallow sometimes, patterns reveal themselves.
Yeah, if you want a readout of your dominant energy, just look at your life. Your finances, your relationships, your health. They're keeping score. They are the feedback loop.
And finally, number 5, which is the most hopeful, energy is always transmuting.
You're never, ever stuck. The law itself says that energy is always in motion. So the second you decide to shift your internal state, the external reality has to start responding.
So by the end of this, you'll have more clarity on reading your own energy. You'll have the tools to pivot out of fear. And maybe most importantly, you'll feel that sense of sovereignty, that you have the inner tools to shape whatever comes your way.
Exactly. You become the sculptor.
That sets the stage perfectly.
Yeah.
So let's start with that foundation, section 1, the foundational law and your energy blueprint. First things first, what exactly is this invisible current? What does the law of perpetual transmutation really state?
Well, at its core, LPT says that energy is always moving. It's constantly transforming from one form to another. It can't be created. It can't be destroyed. It can only be directed.
Okay, so that's a huge shift right there. You're not trying to make something out of nothing. You're just directing what's already there.
Precisely. It puts you in the driver's seat. You're not waiting for a lightning bolt of inspiration. You're just becoming a better director of the energy that's flowing through and around you all the time.
And the source material really stresses that we need to think of energy as more than just the electricity in the walls.
Oh, much more. We have to look at it as a whole. Every single thought you have, whether it's about what to make for dinner or your 5-year plan, is a little packet of energy. It has a measurable frequency.
And emotions.
Emotions are the broadcast signal. They're these powerful, vibrant waves traveling through your nervous system and radiating outwards, your life, your results. They're just the concrete physical end product of these invisible vibrations.
Venkata's story about her knee injury when she was younger is such a powerful example of this. It wasn't just a concept for her anymore.
No, it became her proof. She had this terrible ligament injury, was facing major surgery, months and months of painful rehab. She felt totally powerless.
I can imagine.
And a mentor suggested she try visualization. So instead of focusing on the pain and the long recovery, she spent 20 minutes twice a day just vividly imagining the ligaments weaving themselves back together, healthy, strong, whole.
And it actually worked.
It worked spectacularly. Her healing process accelerated so much that her doctors were just baffled. She was weeks ahead of schedule. And for her, that was the moment. This wasn't just positive thinking. This was targeted, intentional direction of energy to create a physical result.
That's incredible. And it leads us right into the engine behind all of this, the thought-emotion feedback loop. This is where most of us get tripped up without even realizing it.
This is the mechanism right here. It's what either creates momentum for success or digs us deeper into a rut. Let's take the negative example because it's so common.
Okay.
You wake up and your first thought is just a little bit of dread about your email inbox. It's not a huge thing, just a subtle, that.
Yep. Isn't there?
Instantly, your body translates that thought into a feeling. Maybe your shoulders tense up or you get a little knot in your stomach.
And that feeling then feeds more thoughts.
Exactly. That tension in your body now generates more stressful thoughts like, I'm so behind or I'll never get on top of this. Your whole energy field is now charged with this low-frequency, high-stress signal. And LPT just obeys. It starts building a reality that matches that signal.
Wow. So before you've even had your coffee, you've programmed the day for friction.
You've set the whole trajectory. But the reverse is just as powerful. If you wake up and consciously choose to feel grateful for something, anything.
The warmth of your bed, the quiet of the morning.
The taste of your coffee. The moment you do that, your internal chemistry literally changes. You get a flood of dopamine, oxytocin, good-feeling chemicals, and that physically raises your cellular vibration.
And suddenly problems look different.
They look like puzzles, not threats. Solutions appear out of nowhere because your internal state is coherent and clear, not chaotic and stressed. The easy commute, the great meeting, they're just the external echo of the frequency you chose to broadcast first thing in the morning.
This brings us to Chapter 3. Reading your personal energy blueprint. If we're broadcasting all the time, we need to figure out what our default station is.
Exactly. The blueprint is your energetic habit. It's the range of frequencies you spend most of your time in, built up from years and years of repeated thoughts and feelings. The author uses a great analogy.
The hiking trail.
The hiking trail. Energy takes the path of least resistance. So if you have a well-worn trail of worrying about money, that's where your energy is going to go by default.
But the good news, and this is crucial, is that you can always carve a new path.
You can always reroute the flow. But first you have to read the map. And you do that with the principle of energetic mirroring. Your life is always faithfully reflecting your internal tone back to you.
Can you give an example of that? How a specific internal feeling creates a specific external result?
Sure. The author talks about a time when she had this deep, subtle undercurrent of scarcity. It wasn't that she was broke, but she had this feeling that there would never be quite enough, that she always had to chase.
A feeling of lack.
Yes. And her life mirrored it perfectly. Clients would be slow to pay. Her car suddenly developed these bizarre, expensive electrical problems that just kept happening. The physical electrical system was short-circuiting, a perfect metaphor for the short circuit in her belief about financial flow.
So the results aren't always literal, they can be symbolic.
Very often they are. You have to learn to read the poetry of your life. For instance, if you're longing for a deep, intimate relationship, but you keep attracting partners who are emotionally unavailable,
It's not just bad luck.
it's probably a mirror. The blueprint might be showing you that you're partially unavailable to yourself. Maybe you dismiss your own needs or you keep your own emotional walls up. The partners are just reflecting that back to you.
The case study of Lena and the micromanaging bosses is just, It's such a perfect illustration of this.
It's a fantastic one. Lena kept quitting jobs because she always ended up with these bosses who would micromanage every tiny detail. She was convinced she just had the worst luck with managers.
But the mirror told a different story.
A very different story. When she was coached to look at her own behavior, she had this huge realization. She was micromanaging herself to an extreme degree.
How so?
Tracking every single calorie she ate, rewriting emails 5 or 6 times, scheduling every minute of her day. Her entire internal system was one of hyper-control. The universe just kept giving her an external micromanager to show her what she was doing to herself.
And when she stopped,
When she consciously decided to trust herself, to loosen that internal grip, the external pattern dissolved. She found a new job with a wonderfully trusting supervisor who gave her total autonomy.
and the most direct way to read this blueprint is through our own bodies, the somatic signals.
The body never lies. It's the physical printout of your energy, that tightness in your throat when you're about to say something important. That's data. That knot in your stomach, that's a direct readout of fear or worry.
You mentioned my own experience with that, with the heart palpitations during a really stressful period.
You did, and your mind was trying to explain it away, right? Oh, I'm just busy, it's just stress.
Right, I was rationalizing it. But my body was screaming that something was wrong. It wasn't just stress, it was this constant low-level energetic alarm bell, a state of emergency.
And you finally listened. You started meditating, consciously opening your chest and shoulders with stretching, physically creating space for a different energy.
And the palpitations just stopped within days. It's amazing how fast the body responds when you change the signal. Listening to it isn't a sign of weakness, it's the smartest thing you can do.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's the foundation. We understand the blueprint. Now, let's get into the mechanics in Section 2. Chapter 2 talks about thought energy as the creative command center. How do we actually prove to ourselves that our thoughts are, well, real?
It's surprisingly simple. You use the lemon experiment.
Right.
You just close your eyes and vividly imagine a bright yellow lemon. You imagine cutting it open, seeing the juice, smelling that sharp citrus scent, and then you imagine biting into it.
And instantly you start salivating.
Instantly. Your body has a real physiological response to a completely imagined event. It doesn't know the difference. Now imagine doing that not with a lemon for 30 seconds, but with a core belief about your own worthiness for 30 years.
Wow. Okay, that puts it in perspective. You're constantly sending these signals that your body is treating as real.
And these thoughts have a measurable frequency signature. Scientists can actually measure these brainwave patterns in hertz.
So let's break that down a little, the different brain waves.
Well, you have beta waves, which are dominant when you're stressed, worried, or actively problem-solving. It's that high alert state. If you stay there too long, it literally turns into muscle tension and burnout.
In the alternatives.
The more creative, relaxed states are alpha and theta waves. That's when you're daydreaming, meditating, or in a state of creative flow. Those lower frequencies show up in your body as a relaxed posture, easy breathing, and, well, inspired ideas.
So if I'm stuck in that beta state, worrying about a deadline, how do I consciously shift down into that more resourceful alpha or theta state?
You have to interrupt the pattern. The fastest way is with your breath and your attention. You consciously slow your breathing, and you move your focus, the steering wheel, away from the external problem and onto something internal. A peaceful memory, the feeling of your feet on the floor, anything. That act alone physically forces your brainwaves to slow down.
You're manually shifting gears.
You are. And the manager, Luis, in the case study, he did this for his entire team.
Right. His meetings were always tense.
Super tense. All beta wave energy, very defensive. So he started every single meeting with a 1-minute pause. Just 1 minute for everyone to breathe and silently think of one thing they appreciated about the project.
I can imagine that got some eye rolls at first.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
But the energetic effect was undeniable. That 1 minute shifted the whole room's frequency. Within a few weeks, the meetings became more collaborative, solutions came faster, and productivity actually went up. He was tuning the collective energy before they even started working.
Okay, so if thought is the blueprint, let's talk about the accelerator. Chapter 5, the critical role of emotion, amplification.
This is maybe the most important piece of the puzzle. Emotion is what gives a thought its charge, its kinetic energy. It's the wind that carries the whisper.
So a grand idea with no feeling behind it just sits there.
It often does, whereas a simple thought, charged with powerful emotion like joy or certainty, can move mountains.
Let's talk about the high-frequency trio, joy, gratitude, and love. How do they physically affect us?
They create what's called coherence in the body. Research from places like the HeartMath Institute shows that when you feel genuine appreciation, the rhythm of your heart becomes a smooth, orderly sine wave.
A coherent pattern.
Exactly. And that coherent signal is sent to every cell in your body, including your brain. It literally makes you smarter, more creative, and better at solving problems. You're tuning your entire system to its optimal operating frequency.
The author's story about her first job at the library is a great little example of this in action.
It's a perfect micro-example. Every day before she walked in, she would just take a moment and feel genuinely grateful for the job, the quiet, the paycheck, just a small, intentional act.
And her shifts were always smooth.
Always. She attracted the kindest patrons her coworkers would offer to help without being asked. She was calibrating her energy field before she even clocked in, and so she became magnetic to positive, helpful interactions.
So let's look at the flip side. The low-frequency potholes. Fear, anger, and shame. Fear, in particular, has a really damaging effect on our ability to think clearly.
It's a physiological fact. When you feel fear, your body is flooded with cortisol, and that actually restricts blood flow to your prefrontal cortex.
Which is the logical, rational part of our brain.
It's the CEO of the brain. So in a state of fear, you are literally neurologically less intelligent. The survival-oriented emotional brain takes over.
And shame.
Shame is probably the lowest vibration of all. It broadcasts the core message of, I am unworthy, and the law of perpetual transmutation will then, work to prove that right by blocking opportunity and flow.
But you can transmute even these really heavy emotions. The case study of Maria is a testament to that.
Maria she was stuck. She was dealing with a brutal heartbreak and described the feeling as a cement slab on her chest.
That's a powerful image.
It is. So instead of trying to fight that feeling, she used a technique called memory re-imprinting. She deliberately focused her attention on a powerful, joyful childhood memory, a time she was painting a mural and felt completely validated and celebrated.
So she used a high-frequency memory to override the low-frequency pain.
She did, and the shift was immediate. She felt the surge of joy that she said literally dissolved that cement slab feeling. And here's the amazing part. Within days of that internal shift, a huge client that had gone dormant for months suddenly came back with a massive project.
Wow.
She literally transmuted the energy of betrayal into the energy of abundance just by changing her internal broadcast.
Which leads us perfectly into Chapter 4, why some people attract success. It's not luck, alignment.
It is entirely about alignment versus resistance. The people who seem to attract success effortlessly are simply keeping their internal antenna tuned to the frequency of what they want. They're like an iron filing that naturally aligns with a powerful magnet.
While struggle is when your internal frequency is fighting your external goal.
Exactly. It's self-inflicted turbulence. You're saying you want wealth, but you're broadcasting a frequency of fear about being visible or responsible for that wealth.
And this often comes down to our internal stories.
These deep, often unconscious narratives that run our lives. The entrepreneur, Devin, is a classic case. He was brilliant, but his business would always self-sabotage right when it was about to scale up.
Why? What was the story?
His story, which he inherited from watching his overworked father, was, it's dangerous to be in demand. So subconsciously, success felt like a threat. The universe just mirrored his fear by creating operational failures and cash flow problems.
Until he rewrote the story.
Until he consciously changed it to, demand means my team and I are flourishing. The moment the internal story changed, the external results could finally align.
So it's not enough to just say affirmations. You have to align the subtle frequency of expectation.
This is why so many people get frustrated with affirmations. You can chant, I am wealthy, all day long, but if deep down you're expecting things to fall apart, that expectation is the much stronger signal.
It's like two sound waves canceling each other out.
Perfectly put. The goal is to get your desire and your expectation in phase, so they combine into one big, powerful wave that you can ride all the way to shore.
Okay, so understanding the mechanics is one thing, but, applying this stuff when life is happening is the real challenge. So, Section 3, the art of real-time transmutation and habits. Let's start with Chapter 6, breaking free from low-energy patterns.
Right, because these patterns are sticky. They're self-feeding loops. We've worn these energetic grooves so deep that it feels like the only path available. The key is to intercept the loop.
Let's go back to the anatomy of fear. We know the physical feeling, the fast heart, the dry mouth, is a normal biological response. But the story we attach to it is the problem.
That's the pivot. The case of Brian, the guy who was terrified of public speaking, is perfect. He felt that surge of adrenaline, and his story was, this is danger. I'm going to fail.
And the work was to change the label.
Exactly. To relabel that physical sensation not as danger, but as activation, as readiness. He started telling himself, okay, my body is getting ready to perform. This is energy I can use. He didn't stop the feeling. He changed its meaning and harnessed it.
And then there's doubt's echo chamber, that little voice that says, but what if it doesn't work?
It's so insidious.
Yeah.
Because the moment you ask that question, your brain, which is an amazing search engine, goes and finds all the evidence to support the doubt. All your past failures, all the worst case scenarios.
So how do you stop it?
You starve it. You have to starve the echo chamber. The writer, Tessa, was stuck on her novel for 7 years because of this. Her solution was to consciously refuse to feed the doubt. She would only allow herself to focus on present tense proof of her ability, a compliment from her writing coach, a chapter she'd just finished.
She anchored herself in what was already working.
Right. And eventually, the doubt pattern, with nothing to feed on, just faded away.
And the gateway to all of this is that moment of choice, that split second of awareness.
It's everything. It's the tiny gap between the trigger, the rude email, the scary thought, and your habitual reaction. In that gap is your power. When you can catch yourself right as you're starting to spiral, you've already weakened the pattern's hold on you.
Okay, so we're in that gap. What do we do? Chapter 7 gives us the art of energy shifting in real time, the Paramedic Toolkit.
And we have a deadline. The science shows us we have about a 90-second window.
What does that mean?
It means the chemical surge of an emotion, that first rush of anger or fear, only lasts in your bloodstream for about 90 seconds. If you don't feed it with another negative thought, it will naturally dissipate.
So it's like a train pulling into the station.
Yeah.
You have 90 seconds to decide if you're going to get on it or just let it pass by.
That is the perfect analogy. If you get on by thinking another angry thought, you trigger a whole new chemical surge and you're stuck on the train. So we need micro interventions to use in that window.
Let's run through them. First, conscious breathing.
The fastest way to change your physiology. A long, slow exhale sends a powerful signal to your nervous system that you are safe. It physically turns off the fight or flight response.
Second is naming.
Just label what's happening without judgment. There's that story of rejection. Or, I'm noticing tension in my chest. The moment you name it, you are no longer it. You are the one observing it.
Third, sensory grounding.
This pulls you out of the past or the future and into the present moment where fear and anxiety can't survive. Feel the chair you're sitting on. Notice the hum of the lights. Feel the texture of your jeans. It anchors you in the now.
And fourth, deliberate appreciation.
Find one single thing in your immediate environment to be grateful for. The color of your mug, the plant in the corner. It's impossible to feel genuine gratitude and low-frequency fear at the exact same time. It forces a frequency shift.
The story of the slow driver is such a great real-world example of using one of these tools.
It is. The host speaker was driving, got stuck behind a really slow car, and felt that familiar flash of irritation building.
The beginning of a bad mood spiral.
Right. But instead of getting on that train, they intervened with curiosity. They just asked, what if this delay is actually creating perfect timing for me?
And the mood shifted.
Instantly. The frustration dissolved into just calm acceptance. And a few minutes later, a deer ran out into the road right where they would have been if they'd been speeding. The shift in language, the shift in energy literally prevented a potential accident.
Wow. But to make this automatic, we need Chapter 8. Creating high vibration habits.
We have to move beyond willpower. Willpower is like a muscle. It gets tired. Habits are routines carved into your brain that run on autopilot. They don't require conscious effort once they're established.
And the science on this is solid. These habits physically change your brain.
They absolutely do. Consistent meditation or gratitude journaling has been shown to literally thicken the prefrontal cortex, which helps with emotional regulation. It shifts your whole nervous system's default setting from stress to calm.
And the easiest way to build them is with habit stacking.
Yes, you just tack the new habit onto something you already do without thinking. The surgeon's example is brilliant.
The hand scrubbing.
Right. He had to scrub his hands for 30 seconds before every surgery. So he used that existing routine as a trigger for his new habit. Repeating the mantra, steady hands, steady heart, it became an automatic moment of energetic alignment.
Yeah, and the ultimate keystone habit in this whole system seems to be gratitude.
It's the universal solvent. The host speaker's experience with financial fear is a testament to that. When they were stuck in that fear, they started a simple habit of listing 10 things they were grateful for each day.
And that shifted the fear.
It dissolved it because it shifted their focus from what was lacking to what was already abundant. That change in frequency tuned them to a state of possibility, and a big, lucrative project that had been stalled suddenly came through with total ease.
So we've built the internal foundation. Now, in Section 4, we see how this applies to the biggest areas of our lives. Let's start with Chapter 9, Energy and Relationships.
This is where we get our most immediate and sensitive feedback, and it starts with the idea that energy is the first language. Before a single word is spoken, a conversation has already happened.
What do you mean by that?
Your heart emits an electromagnetic field that's thousands of times stronger than your brain's. It extends several feet out from your body. And that field interacts with the fields of people around you. It's like tuning forks. They naturally start to vibrate at the same frequency.
So my internal state is literally, physically influencing the people I'm with.
Instantly. This is the mirror principle in action. The story of Elena and her teenage son is a powerful example. She felt he was always shut down and resistant.
A common complaint.
Very. But when she looked at her own energy, she realized she was always carrying this armored, tense energy around him. Tight shoulders, clenched jaw. She was broadcasting, "Stay away," and he was just mirroring it.
So what did she do?
Before talking to him, she would consciously relax her body, soften her posture, and just focus on the feeling of love for him. And like magic, the field between them would soften, and he would start opening up on his own. She changed the silent conversation first.
The danger here, then, is mirroring and sponging, unconsciously taking on other people's low-frequency energy.
It's a huge energy drain, especially for empaths. The antidote is to create a conscious, energetic boundary. The hospice nurse, Maya, had to do this to survive her job.
Right. She was surrounded by grief all day.
So before each shift, she would take a minute to visualize herself surrounded by a sphere of golden, protective light. It wasn't a wall to shut people out. It was more like a filter, allowing her to connect with compassion without drowning in the grief.
And this reframes conflict, too. Conflict as a catalyst.
Instead of something to be avoided, conflict is just a signal that two energy fields are out of alignment. The story of the fight over the dishes.
It's a classic.
A classic. It kept happening until the host speaker paused, dropped their defensiveness, and spoke from the real issue, which was about feeling unseen and unappreciated. The energy shifted from blame to collaboration, and the problem was solved at its root.
Let's move to a big one. Chapter 10, Money and Career Energy Blocks.
And the source material says a great line for this. Money is frozen speech. Your income is a direct physical reflection of the conversations you're having with yourself about your own worth.
So if I'm constantly undercharging, I'm basically whispering to the universe, I'm not really worth that much.
The universe says, okay, you got it.
Uh-huh.
Money flows where it's valued and respected, and that starts with valuing and respecting yourself.
Which means we have to excavate our scarcity scripts.
These deep-seated beliefs we have about money. The musician, Jonathan, is a perfect example. He was incredibly talented, but always broke because he had this subconscious belief that real artists should suffer and that money corrupts.
So he was actually repelling abundance.
Completely. It wasn't until he reframed wealth as a tool for creative freedom that he could allow it in. Once he made that shift, he raised his rates, and his next album was crowdfunded almost overnight.
It comes down to the worthiness equation.
Yeah.
You don't earn it, you have to declare it.
Yes. Priya, the analyst who kept getting passed over for promotions, her inner story was, I'm just lucky to be here. I can't handle more responsibility. She was broadcasting smallness.
And her career stayed small.
Until she started visualizing herself as a director. Feeling the confidence, embodying the authority, she changed her energetic signature, and a promotion quickly followed, not because she worked harder, but because her energy finally matched the role.
And this is how you get on Opportunity's dance floor.
It's not luck. Opportunity gravitates to a compatible frequency. The engineer, Malik, who wanted to work in green tech but was stuck in a traditional role.
He didn't just apply for jobs.
No, he immersed his energy in it. He spent his free time learning about it, getting excited about it, talking about it. He tuned his whole frequency to green tech. And then, seemingly out of the blue, a visiting VP he'd never met invited him to lead a new green tech task force. It was a perfect energetic match.
Let's touch on Chapter 11, Health and Physical Energy.
Here, the body is an oracle. Your physical health is a direct meter of how you're allocating your energy. We think of stress as something that happens to us, but it's really our interpretation of an event. That interpretation creates a frequency that, if it's consistently low, leads to physical breakdown.
And we can use visualization and coherence to heal.
Absolutely, because your body doesn't know the difference between a real event and a vividly imagined one. Sophia, the woman recovering from throat cancer surgery, used this powerfully. She visualized healing crystalline light washing over the area every day.
And her recovery was faster than normal.
Significantly faster. She was giving her cells a coherent, high-frequency blueprint for regeneration.
This is basically the mechanism behind the placebo-nocebo effect. Belief becomes biology.
It's the most direct example. If you're constantly saying, ugh, I'm getting so old, you are broadcasting a command that your cells will obey. If you shift that to, my body is strong and regenerates every day, you're issuing a completely different set of orders.
Finally, let's talk about our surroundings. Chapter 12, Environmental Energy Management.
Starting with clutter as stalled energy. Clutter isn't just an aesthetic problem. It creates a dense, stagnant energy field that makes it hard to think clearly or feel expansive. When you clear physical clutter, you create a vacuum that invites new, fresh energy and opportunity to flow in.
And it's not just about big piles of stuff. It's the subtle power of flow.
Right. Maria, the PhD student who couldn't finish her thesis, she realized a big armchair was blocking the physical path to her desk. It seems like a small thing, but once she moved it, the flow was clear, her mental block lifted, and she finished the thesis.
We have to talk about digital spaces. They might be the biggest energy thieves of all.
They really might be. A cluttered desktop, a constant stream of notifications. It's all energetic clutter. It keeps your brain in that high alert beta state all day.
Yeah.
Curating your digital world like having a rule of no phone for the first hour of the day is one of the most powerful things you can do to protect your energy.
So we've gone from the blueprint to the real-world applications. This final section is about advanced mastery. Chapter 14 gets into the specific techniques for becoming, I guess, a true broadcast engineer of your own reality.
Exactly. We're moving from just reacting and intervening to consciously sculpting our energy, and it starts with the breath. Breathwork as sculpting.
What does that mean, sculpting?
It means using different breathing patterns to create specific results. For example, a continuous connected breathing pattern can help release deeply stored emotional trauma, whereas a slow 5-second inhale, 7-second exhale pattern will immediately shift your nervous system into a calm, parasympathetic state. You're using your breath like a precision tool.
And then there's visualization as quantum rehearsal. This is a level up from just basic visualizing.
It is. This is about total sensory immersion. You don't just see the goal, you feel it, you smell it, you hear it, you taste it. Daniel, the guy who wanted to open the surf shop.
Right, he didn't just have a picture of a beach.
No, he would sit and imagine the salty taste on his lips, the specific sound of the bell on his shop door. He made it so real in his inner world that it had no choice but to manifest in his outer world.
But none of these techniques work without intention as the steering wheel.
That's the crucial link. A technique without a clear intention is like a powerful car with no one driving it. Your intention answers the question, why am I doing this? So, I am breathing to embody a state of creative wonder. That intention focuses the energy of the technique and gives it a specific job to do.
And all of this leads to the ability to perform real-time energy surgery.
This is mastery in action. It's sensing that dip in energy in the middle of a tense meeting, that knot forming in your stomach and correcting it on the spot without having to leave the room or do a 20-minute meditation.
Like in the board meeting example.
Exactly. The room was getting tense, people were starting to assign blame, and instead of getting sucked in, the host speaker just silently focused on the intention, we co-create clarity. That subtle internal shift was enough to pivot the entire group's energy from blame towards solutions.
Which brings us to the final chapter, chapter 15, Living as an Energy Master. What does this actually look like day to day?
It's when the practices stop being practices and just become your natural state of being. You're not doing gratitude anymore. You are gratitude. You feel a sense of connection with everything around you. You're no longer thinking about it. You're embodying it.
And this requires a foundation of radical responsibility.
The mindset of, I am the cause, not the effect. It means that no matter what chaos is happening externally, you recognize that your internal state is always your own to regulate.
The conference speaker stuck in the airport.
A perfect example. Flights canceled, luggage lost, total chaos. But he chose to remain in a state of calm competence. And because his internal state was coherent, the external world seemed to rearrange itself to help him. His luggage was found, a new flight opened up, he managed his own field, and the world responded.
So mastery is really about continuous awareness.
It's a living barometer. It's not just a morning practice. It's noticing the tiny little energetic shifts, the micro contractions in your body all day long and making constant tiny corrections. That's what prevents the major meltdowns.
And the real proof, the source says, is mastery in the mundane.
This is my favorite part. The evidence isn't in attracting $1 million. It's in how you greet the barista at the coffee shop. It's how you fold your laundry. If you can wash the dishes with a sense of presence and intention, treating it like a sacred act, you are elevating your frequency. And that elevated frequency is what invites grace and ease into every other part of your life.
Every moment becomes an opportunity.
Every moment is the sacred clay, and the law guarantees you are never stuck. You are always, in this very second, invited to co-compose your reality.
That's a powerful way to end it. So let's sum up the key takeaways from this deep dive. It's really about learning to read and recalibrate your own thought-emotion loop.
Shrinking that critical 90-second window, prioritizing those high-vibration habits like gratitude.
And treating everything in your life, your relationships, your bank account, your body, as a mirror, as direct feedback on your internal state.
And remember, the kind of world you want to live in, a more compassionate, creative, and thriving world, it doesn't start with changing everyone else. It starts with managing your own individual frequency.
So we'll leave you with a final thought to take with you. If the law of perpetual transmutation is true and your energy is always in motion and you are the director, what single limiting belief are you willing to consciously dissolve today just to see what happens? What tangible evidence will you look for tomorrow? In an email, in a conversation, in a feeling in your body, to prove to yourself that the internal shift worked.
We invite you to step into the rest of your day as the energetic sculptor you now know you are. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive.